top 10 running backs for the 2025 NFL draft. The running back position is one of the most loaded positions in the draft. And Keith and I have our dueling top 10s. Where do we agree and where do we disagree? That and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I am an offensive draft analyst over with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He is the director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers, guys. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Post-combine, post-free agency, top 10 running back rankings for the 2025 NFL Draft. We're going to go through running backs 1 through 4, Ashton, Jeanty, Omarion, Hampton, and who else? RBs 5 through 7, satellite backs, RB2 caliber guys, and RBs 8 through 10. Guys that you probably can get on day 3 that probably can still be a starter for you in the NFL. Let's get into it. All right, we'll start with Keith's ranking his top 4, and then we go through my top 4. At number 1, Keith has Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina. At number 2, he has Ashton Jeanty, a star from Boise State. At number 3, he has Sean Junkins from Ohio State. And at number 4, this is the highest I've seen this guy, Jarquez Hunter out of Auburn. And for me, at number 1, I have Ashton Jeanty from Boise State. At number 2, I have Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. At number 3, I have Caleb Johnson from Iowa. At number 4, I have Tennessee's Dylan Sampson. Keith, talk to us about Jarquez Hunter. Why are you so high on him? Why are you so much higher than the consensus on Jarquez Hunter?
I don't know. Y'all tell me. All I see is a good running back, DP. All I see is a good running back, and nobody likes him. That's all I'm saying. He's been in the SEC. He's been productive. I think he's the leading rusher in the SEC last year, and nobody likes him. I'm trying to understand. I almost want to ask the opposite question. Well, what people don't like about Jarquez Hunter? But nah. Honestly, when I decided to submit this, right, it was more about because there's so many running backs in this class, right, that it's like, okay, because I've left off, even on this list, I want spoiler alert, okay? I didn't put RJ Harvey on here. Spoiler alert for me, which I like people know who's been listening to this podcast. That is one of my favorite running backs, if I had to just bet on a guy, right? But I'm walking through this process of the first, because there's so many running backs that you almost have to pick a theme, right? And my theme was, okay, 3 down running backs, right? So that's why I'm another spoiler alert. Trevor Etienne isn't on my list at this point too. And, potentially a guy that was on your list, like a Dylan Sampson. I went with maybe the more complete 3 down backs, and because you have to pick a theme because there's so many running backs on this there's like 15 or 20 of them, and so I was like it really was a head scratcher for me, but I put Jarquez in there because watching him at Auburn, this is a guy that can run outside the tackles. He can run in between the tackles. He runs with power. He has good footwork. He a lowish pad level. He can be a short yardage guy and get in between, those small gaps and that openings in the offensive line and the line of scrimmage. I think he has enough speed to be able to, crack runs for 40, 50 yards. Now, he may get caught, but he has a speed and acceleration and top end to kind of separate initially. I just thought that if I had to pick a back, and that was my thought process, ranking these guys, and maybe I should have been more specific and even in my rankings of guys that I feel like could be 3 down bell cow running backs. And that's kind of more so what I went with my thought process. And I think Jarquez checks all the boxes. He ran a 4.4 plus 200 pounds, came in there. He has the proven resume being at Auburn, right? Auburn didn't have much talent around him. You knew they was running a football, and he showed up back-to-back years.
No, and he's definitely a tough kind of, he's kind of there's a theme of these type of backs of that below 5'10", Jeanty, Hampton, Jeanty, is Scatterboo 5'9"? I think he might be 5'9". You know what I mean? Like it's a good couple of guys, RJ Harvey, Trevor Etienne, like it's a group of those guys. And Jarquez Hunter is kind of the forgotten man of that group, and so I don't even mind that shout out because he is he's a tough runner, low center of gravity guy. For me, it's just like there was still some stuff I was kind of sifting through. It's like it truly is kind of like pick your flavor in a sense with this running back class, like preference and everything else, because it's just too many backs. Like honest to God, I don't know why some of these kids even declared if you had the year of eligibility.
Like
back.
Yeah, it almost, because initially when we was like, we're gonna do running back rankings, and I was like, all right, cool, that'll be fun. And then when I started, I'm like, this not fun.
It's not fun
because it's too many running backs. Like I said, RJ Harvey is literally my favorite running back, and then he didn't crack this list. But if you had to ask me, like, just some of my favorite guys that I think going to be productive, that's why I say I almost had to pick a theme of complete running backs, right? Or maybe I'm asking you to be RB1 for me in the NFL for a long period of time with durability and everything else.
No, I feel you on that. For me, like with Dylan Sampson, like you talked about with him, I feel like this guy has the requisite ability to be a potential like 3-down guy. He's at that open field speed. He catches the ball fairly well out of the backfield. They don't use him enough in the passing game. Like, you know what I mean? But especially for a guy, quick footwork, he's really elusive with his jump cuts, very patient. You know what I mean? And that's something that you really can't teach running backs a lot of times is, hey, stick to the plan. Follow your blockers. They'll lead you to daylight. Has the home run hitting speed, like his feel, his vision, the tempo that he runs with is good. Like I said, I think that he's functional as a pass protector. I think that this is a guy that honestly still, without sacrificing, I think he ran like a 4.42 at his pro day. Without sacrificing his speed and making him a 4.5 athlete, I think you could still add a little bit of muscle to his frame and pounds to his body. I don't think he's completely maxed out. I think there's still a little bit of room for growth there. But yeah, I think especially when you're talking about like the zone game, inside zone, duo runs, he's very evasive, being able to press a gap, evade, get out, find another route. Like he's one of the more natural, just pure runners in this class with like just a great feel and understanding, knowing how to make alley defenders miss. And like, that's something that is difficult for certain backs, man. Like when you get that guy one-on-one, you get big backs. Like, I know with Caleb Johnson, it's going to be a long day for that defensive player. He's going to try to run through you, or he's going to probably stiff arm you. Same thing with Omarion Hampton. You know what I mean? Like those big backs, what they're going to bring in the alley. I love how Dylan Sampson he has a really, and one thing he has as a counter, he has an outstanding spin move. Like in space, like if you approach him with kind of reckless and out of control, he will spin off of you in the heartbeat and keep going upfield. I think this guy has high potential to be an impact player at the next level.
Yeah, I agree. DP, I have a question for you. I think it's a good, fun, thoughtful, applied question. I know you like Omarion Hampton, right? And so obviously it's 1-2 with Ashton, Jeanty, then Omarion Hampton for you. I want to ask, what do you like more about Ashton? Why do you give Ashton the lean or lead over Omarion?
I think Ashton he's a little bit more more elusive than Hampton. Hampton's that hammer, that physical downhill back, breakaway speed, can catch the football. He's more of a sidestepper than a jump cutter. Now, granted, Jeanty doesn't have, I've criticized Jeanty about at the line of scrimmage, that lateral, like the RJ Harvey jump cut, the DJ Giddens, I don't want to spoil it, but he's on my list a little bit later. That jump cut of pressing the A gap and getting out to C, like, yeah, Hampton doesn't do that, but like when you get to the second level, can you evade guys laterally? He showcased that ability. I think his vision is better in terms of like reading blocking concepts quickly, identifying, processing is there. We know the contact balance is outstanding for him. Both of these guys breakaway runs. I think it's the detailed process with Ashton, Jeanty. I think both of these guys could be outstanding. I think both of them be 1,300-yard backs if you feed them. Now in the NFL today, we don't see that as much where teams are willing to, not back in the 2000s, 2010s. Yeah, maybe. You know what I mean? Both these boys be 1,500 yards rushes. You're like, man, like who's offensive rookie of the year? But that's why I have him over. I think Jeanty's a little bit more evasive as a runner, and his process is cleaner to me. Where I think, Hampton's just like, listen, man, I'm 220 pounds. I'm 6 foot. It don't really matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna turn this into an alley fight. It's gonna be an alley fight. Then let's get it. And he's that type of guy. Don't get me wrong. Jeanty does that too. Jeanty he's got a little bit of that where we talked about it. too many head-on collisions. He's got to want to make guys miss at the next level and not think, okay, I'm going to just bounce off of these tackles. No, that didn't work against Penn State. So you can't do that in the NFL game in and game out. It's not going to work.
Yep, I agree 100% with DP. Let's keep this thing going, man. 1 through 4 was fun, but I'll tell you this, 5 through 7 is going to add a whole nother element, a whole nother twist. I'm excited to get into this. Let's have this conversation. Running back rankings 5 through 7 coming up next.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. You heard me correct. That's right. 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who you believe will be cutting down the nets when it's all said and done. Stay in the action with tournament games happening almost every day. There's always something exciting to bet on. The app is simple, safe, and super easy to use. And when I win, I get paid instantly, no waiting around. To get in on the action and to join today, just visit FanDuel.com to get in on all the college hoops action all tournament long. Again, to join today, just visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. RB rank is 5 through 7. At number 5, Keith has Travion Henderson from Ohio State. At number 6, he has Arizona State star Cam Scatterboo. At number 7, he has Oregon's underrated running back Jordan James. For me, at 5, I have Damian Martinez out of Miami. Number 6, I have Quinshawn Judkins from Ohio State. And number 7, I have Travion Henderson from Ohio State. Keith, I want to talk about Travion real quick. Yeah. Travion is... I've seen a lot of, especially on Twitter, draft community, they're really high on Travion. Listen, if you are an everydayer, you knew around this time last year, we were saying Travion could have been RB1 of last year's class. It was not the class of now. It was not as deep, as talented as 2025. We felt like he could have been the top RB in 2024, but he decided to go back. He was like, man, I don't know if that was the greatest idea. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't. This class turns out to be one of the deepest classes we've ever seen at running back. And then it's not just deep, it's body types, like a Damian Martinez at 5'11", 220, like a Caleb Johnson at 6 foot, 225, 230, Omarion Hampton, 6 foot, 5'11", 225, even Ashton Jeanty, 5'8", 215, 218. Like there's guys that proven to have been bell cow backs for their respective teams. I think with skill set wise, I love Travion Henderson. He's got good footwork. He's patient. He's got good vision. He's got some evasiveness to him. He's big play speed and open field. Really good screen catcher. Shallow route receiving threat out of the backfield. He sees it well. It's the fact of, man, if I'm drafting you, like I've seen some Cowboy fans like, oh, let's wait till round 3 and let's make Travion Henderson our bell cow. I'm not sure he can fill that role with his injury history. The last time he was a bell cow and he didn't have the injury concern was his freshman year at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. After that, the sophomore and junior year, he was hurt both years. And then you bring in Quinshawn to be the hammer to take most of that punishment. Now he comes in to change the pace. Now you feel good about it. I think truthfully, Travion's a great fit behind a Najee Harris in Los Angeles with the Chargers, right? Like, if you can get him back in the day too, like 3rd round, and you pair him up with Najee, yeah, I think that's a really good 1-2 punch. I'm just not so sure that Travion has the durability to be a true bell cow at the next level.
Yeah, I don't totally disagree with that neither. And I think I had Travion at 5 in this list, right? And just going back to the theme of like, okay, 3 downs, right? And this guy has experience running in between the tackles, has experience running outside the tackles, has experience catching the football. And you said, the added element of screen game. And one thing I was impressed with him, because I had just rewatched him, was it last week, I think? The pass protection.
Yep.
I was like surprised, like, because it was like one play, and I was like, that was pretty good. And then watching more, and I'm like, That one was pretty good. And I'm not even a pass pro guy. Like, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
just stick your face in there. And as long as you slow the linebacker down, I'm good with it. Right. But there was some pretty impressive reps. So just going back to the theme of like, okay, like who could I get the most out of? Right. You're talking about 3 downs, stepping in and starting for me. That's why I went with Travion here. But I do agree with you, DP, that to be honest with you, we talked about this list already, right? There's so many different running backs, but as far as where these guys are slotted for my rankings, Travion is probably the most, and I put it together, but the guy had the most question marks about it. Then I'm like, this guy could have went 5 and he could have went 9. Like I shifted him up and down my list, right? Like, and I could have had him and I could have swapped him out for RJ Harvey, right? I just went more with the experience, the moments, and even more applied versatility, because over his 4 years at Ohio State, I kind of seen him do it all. But I still, like you said, the injury situation, the consistency, both of the situations are weird. And I kind of feel like this. If I forgave Quinshon Judkins, right, for last year's, like I kind of got to forgive him too, right?
Right. No, I'm with that kid. Listen, a guy that I feel like does not get nearly enough love. I've tweeted about him a few times. Damian Martinez out of Miami, man. Like, so this is a dude.
He's another one where you have the forgiving part, right? And it's because of what happened last year, and it's just clear, out of sight, out of mind. And I thought about him, but I didn't go with my move with him.
Yeah, and I think Miami didn't do him any favors by not feeding him the ball. Like,
they didn't at all. Like you wonder, like, if something was wrong. Like, is he broke? Like, what's going on? Like, does it
like
not
I
work?
get you at Mark Fletcher, who was just, I think, one of your starters last year. Like, I understand having 2 running backs, so you kind of play, you ride with the hot hand. But it was the fact of, you put, like I think we talked about when we did the building a scheme for Cam Ward, they put too much on Cam Ward to be the guy. And so you know what? We got 2 really good running backs. How about, especially in the ACC, let's play some SEC smash mouth football and let's punch these guys in the face and let's see if they can recover. Like, let's go 5, 6, 7 straight runs and 4 or 5 yards a carry. Now we inside the red zone and our quarterback hasn't thrown the ball the entire drive. Like, let's do that to where you can change the defensive picture and the fronts and the secondary looks. Like, no, it was just like, we're gonna run it sometimes. And I think that hurt his like perception to the public. But man, like for me, it's just like watching him. He's physical, good contact balance, sturdy build. He ran 4 or 5 flat at the combine, right? So like getting that time in there was really good for him.
Yep.
Really good time for him. But the underrated part of his game, 2 parts of his game that are underrated. He catches the ball out of the backfield very well, like away from his body, all hands. He's not a body catcher. He plucks it out of the air. But also he's elusive in that, in one-on-one situations. Like he puts guys on skates in the blender. He'll spin the guy around with that kind of rocker step movement, the 1-2. Like he's a guy that can make you miss. Like, because here's the thing, Keith, when it comes to the running backs, that people like to use like these stats, like missed tackles forced it's got a false perception, because people are like, oh, he forced a lot of missed tackles. No, you need to watch the film to see, is he forcing missed tackles or is he breaking tackles? It's 2 totally different things. Yeah. Barry Sanders was a forced missed tackle guy. You know what I mean? Where Adrian Peterson was, I'm breaking tackles. Like 2 different things. And I think he's a guy that has a little bit of both. And that's why I really appreciate his game.
That's funny. Yeah, you say that with analytics. And that's what I find with analytics a lot. That's why you'll always see me. You hear my 3 letters, WTF. Watch the film. Because with the analytics, like that's true though, right? DP, like it's applied context, because you said, right, it's the difference between forcing and breaking tackles, but there's also who's tackling you, right? Like that, we have to talk about that too. Like whose tackle are you breaking? And that's a partial conversation too. But I also say this with this list, man, it's fun and it's exciting. It was stressful, right? And you almost want to you rather hand out superlatives and like put them in buckets and then match them with team needs. Like I want to do something different, because this, like, I feel like I didn't even get to like get everything put together. But let's do this, man. We have running backs 8 through 10, and I know this is going to be fun, because I feel like one of these guys, I know we both have them probably in this area, might be a surprising name for a lot of people in the draft community. We're going to talk about that coming up next.
Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout for being our every day is running backs 8 through 10. On number 8, Keith has Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State. At number 9, he has Caleb Johnson from Iowa. At number 10, he has DJ Giddens from Kansas State. For me, at number 8, I have Cam Scatterboo from Arizona State. At number 9, I have DJ Giddens from Kansas State. And I have from my neck of the woods here in Clemson, down in Clemson, at number 10, I have Phil Maffa, big burly running back. Keith, I want to talk about DJ Giddens, man. We talk about a guy that is, to me, vastly underrated in this running back. I know we keep saying it's a lot of running backs, so it's easy to kind of forget some people. But man, I turned on the tape, and don't get listen. I get it. Colorado's defense is not the greatest, right? I get that, but the stuff that he puts on film, like the ability to string together cuts, the control, he put Shiloh Sanders on skates a couple times. I'm just like, I just kind of I was just watching it kind of wide eyed, like Jesus Christ, like bro, like what did he say to you pregame to make you feel like this is what to make you feel like this is what I should be doing out here? And he can go from like he ran like a 4.43, I think at the combine, ran 4.43. Like he tested well, jumped well, stuff like that. He looked explosive, tested well. But I think he's like he can go from 0 to 30 very quickly. Like he can change gears really quickly. Like he's like that phrase, slow too fast through. Like once he gets through the line of scrimmage, linebackers have to. If you're an undisciplined linebacker and you're reckless, you're getting put on the highlight reel. Like he crosses guys over like he has a basketball in his hand. The left to right, the side steps, the step back, like he has all those different lower body maneuvers in his bag. And I'm just like, the way he sets guys up, and then he's like 6 foot, like 210, I think he is. So he's got decent contact balance. He wasn't used the same in 2023 in the passing game. I think he had a couple drops, but you see the clear picture as a 3-down running back to catch the ball. Talked about it in my coaching when we did coach him up last week. Yeah, no, he's not that great in pass pro. Like he's got to fix that. You know what I mean? Especially you're a bigger back. And I think some of it, honestly, is more technical. It's like not using your hands and throwing the shoulder, trying to chop block and different things like that. It's like, no, like get your base right, get your hands ready, get your hands shot, shoot your hands, and then run the guy. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have to watch Kyron Williams. The reason why Kyron Williams is so good is not just because he's strong and has low center of gravity. He's got really good technique. So I think technically he can do it. It's not that he doesn't want to. It's just he's not refined in it. And, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't really teach it that much in the Big 12 to pass protect it nearly as much. So I think he's one of the most underrated guys. And I think there's upside for him to come in and probably be a day one contributor behind the established veteran.
Yeah, no, I like DJ also a lot also, right? And we talked about the Rachaad White comp, a few podcasts ago, but I think he's an elevated version of that because I think 100%. He's quicker. I think the foot quickness, the lateral agility is quicker. And it's almost surprising because and it's that stretch of him. I have him, Ollie, Caleb, right? I think Caleb and Ollie are very, very similar in what they do and like how they win, right? In the process. Yeah. And I think that DJ, even though he's a taller back like them, right? They both in that 6'1"ish, all three of those in that 6'1"ish range. I think DJ has more lateral foot quickness, right? Now, the thing I do want to see is obviously the power and the ability to affect the passing game more consistently. And that's why I think I had him behind those two guys. Because I like even watching the Big 12 combine, like Ollie was impressive, right? Like just catching the ball out of the backfield, the over the shoulder thing, things like that. And then I know Caleb could catch the football also. It was just with DJ kind of wanted to see that added element of him. But I think
he dropped the ball a couple times this year.
Yeah. Yep, 100%. But I think he's very worthy of being inside of, a top 10 list as far as, where we stand right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I count that Cam Scatterboo, man. Like, because I'm telling you, we're gonna like. I had him at 8. You had him a little bit higher than me. You had him at 6, right?
Yeah,
same range. Same range. There's a lot of people that like, hey, top of the second round for Cam Scatterboo in this running back class, and I'm just like, I like Cam. I do. To me, he's got that. At worst, he's an RB2 that catches. Watch the Texas game. He ran the the go route, the stop and go, right? The double move or whatever the case may be, or slug or whatever it was. Track the ball well. He could catch the ball out of the backfield, as we know. Physical, squatty, low center of gravity type of runner. I think what's going to push him down the board is the lack of top end speed. Like, I think that's gonna hurt him.
Yeah, DP, with Cam Scatterbull, I'm wondering what's going to be the situation if we're going to find out the 40 time, right? Because he didn't work out at the Big 12 combine. He didn't work out at the NFL combine, right? So I wonder if he's going to have a private workout, which I don't know if you felt the same way. I thought with the Teodoro McMillan workout, like that was random. Like it just like you wake up and people tweeting out 40 times, right?
Right.
And so I wonder if he's going to do anything to showcase speed or anything like that, like any type of workout. I'm not sure. And maybe it's the injury is lingering and it's not allowing him to do that. But I think that's a very important box for him to check. Or people that have concerns, like it's something you may want to answer, or if you don't feel like you're that fast, you just leave it unanswered.
No, 100%. I think if he doesn't work out privately for teams, or just that like random like pop up, workout one random day, we're like, oh, Cam Scatterbull, ran a 4.55. I'm like, wait, he had a pro day today? Like, what? Right. Like, it just kind of catches people off guard. If he doesn't do that and he just leaves everything like rest on the film, stuff like that, I think it is because we watched him get hawked down from behind. We've watched him not convert the 40 and 50-yard runs into scores, right? And not that that's an end-all be-all, but it is easier when I starting that 40-yard run into a touchdown, then getting caught at the 1, and now we got to get it. We got 3 to 4 tries at the goal line as an NFL team to try and get it in. And kind of the play call, once you get that deep into the red zone, it kind of becomes very slim. Like on what you can call. The defense know they got space. That's the advantage. So I think that's gonna be the big thing for me. Is just like for him in this class. When you got other guys, because like people say about Quinshawn ran what 4.45, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah, he ran a 4.4. Yep, he was a 4.4.
Yeah, he ran the 4.4s at 220. Like, what if you get Quinshawn down to maybe 2? Because again, at Ole Miss, he was at 2. He was listed on the website, I think, at Ole Miss in 2022, 2023 at 205. Like, he's 15 pounds. You tell me he's 15 pounds heavier now than he was like 2 years ago at Ole Miss. Like, yeah, if you get him to drop a little bit of weight, like, hey, we don't need you to be the hammer that Ole Miss, that Ohio State made you. Yeah, Quinshawn hitting 4.4 now. He probably hits 4.43, 4.42 at 210, 205. You know what I mean? So it's like there's guys that, to me, I don't like the Damian Martinez. I think he's on tape. He looks faster than Cam Scatterbull. Quinshawn, Trevion, of course, Dylan Sampson. Like the list of the guys that we talked about, Omarion, Ashton, Jarquez Hunter, like Jordan James is more than likely faster than him. DJ Giddens, like it's kind of. I feel like with Cam, there's a chance that he is probably going to be put into a bucket of like a role specific, like a role specific player, like the RB2. I think he's solid in pass protection. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He's physical, stuff like that. Can he be your true? I think my comp for him was he was a bigger Kyron Williams. Where remember Kyron didn't test well at the combine. Like, you know what I mean?
I remember that. Like, this guy's gonna fall. I gotta remember that.
And he did. He felt like the 5th round, right? Like, so I wonder, like, okay, maybe if Kyron didn't test and he just left it on the 5th, and Kyron's film was outstanding. You know what I mean? He had a really good film. It was like, maybe Kyron goes back in the day 2, 3rd round if he doesn't run. So, I'm good. I'm gonna make you wonder about it, but I'm good. You know what I mean? But he's been a really good back. So not saying that I don't think Cam could be a RB1. I think it's going to take a Kyron Williams situation where it's a coaching staff buys all the way in and they're willing to give you the opportunity to carry their rushing attack.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I think it's going to be, this may be one of the most, I think the running backs and the edge rushers, it's going to be one of the more intriguing things to see. Where do these people come off the board?
And scheme specific stuff.
Yeah, that's why I say I want to add way more context than just because he left off so many running backs from this list that I think in certain situations, like if you tell me the Baltimore Ravens drafted RJ Harvey, I'm like, yeah, RJ Harvey stock through the roof, right? Even with Derrick Henry there, it's just when you put him in, he's gonna be so different stylistically, you just think of these different situations. As the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have to figure out what is their running back going to situation going to be like. And it's like, okay, cool. Who are the complementary pieces? And I think that's how you have to think about some of these guys who may be the sub 5'10" and sub 210 pounds. Who are the complementary pieces? And then Dylan Sampson running out of the shotgun. What offenses would he work well in, right? Like, will he work well with New England if they're running out of the shotgun and he's backing up Ramondre Stevenson, something like that, right? Like, it's just so many different situations that is like, I told you this was fun and it was stressful for me. Like, I wanted to write paragraphs and apply so much more context to what was going on. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. Every listener is greatly appreciated here over at Locked On NFL Draft. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow our friend on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available, guys. We're coming back with some more rankings. Let's rank our top 10 safeties for the 2025 NFL Draft. We're going to bring Nicky Manwari, Malachi Starks, Andrew McCouple. You've heard those names on this podcast before, but where are these guys ranking? Has Starks given up safety one? We'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.